the motherboard. There are 4 nuts.
Maybe
2 more than you have, Bill.
Haha.
Maybe 3. I don't know. I didn't count.
I got 2 boys upstairs.
There you go. Backup
I mean
nuts.
that doesn't speak to how many you have now.
Majid, the
So,
only
on
other
the- on
thing
the-
I'd say is if you unplug the camera from USB and then plug it back in, sometimes that'll solve some ills.
Okay, so that little black panel that sits flush with the CPU itself. Oh wait, there are nuts back there.
They're not nuts. Oh no, they are nuts.
That's right. Nuts. Anyway, undo those, and the CPU cooler will come loose on the other end.
What
So
are
be
you,
careful
nuts?
with that very last one.
Yeah, I can only really.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I could have also.
You can buy some stuff called nut butter, which I
It
just
works,
think is
Majid.
hilarious.
I love
There
nut
you go.
butter. Nut butter is my favorite thing. It's how I get enough calories every day. Almond
it's fine.
butter,
You're,
peanut butter. Peanut's not even a nut. Y'all know this? Do y'all know this?
What?
Peanut's not a nut. It's a legume. It lives over there with the green beans.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sick
It's
of
like
people fucking with shit like that.
it's an interloper, like tomatoes and
That's
vegetables.
right. That's right. Like, see,
Did you
Just
know there's no
tomatoes are
such
fruit.
thing as vegetables?
I was about to say that, Bill. There's no such thing as fruits and vegetables, man. This is
Vegetable
just
is a
things for
culinary
us.
term.
That's right. It's for us little weirdos over here that don't know the difference between like biological, things or whatever. So I,
I
don't even
assume
know
you're,
the term
you're
for it.
making fun of the government in some way.
Oh well, sort of, because down here in Texas, pizza counts as a vegetable because it's got tomatoes on it.
Oh yeah, our
Which
school
is a
lunch.
fruit.
Brilliant.
Yeah, our school lunch was the same way. Ketchup was a vegetable.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, I mean it's like having
I
fish
am
and
not
chips.
pulling this motherboard
And,
out of here.
And it's like, well, potatoes are vegetables.
That's
So
right.
there
By
you
the
go.
way,
And fish
the way,
is
Majid-
heart healthy.
You what?
that did fix your problem. By the way, yanking the
Yes.
USB and plugging it back in.
I will
Excellent.
bend this metal back before I pull this motherboard out of here.
You gotta get an actual socket wrench, Bill.
You can't get anything to it because the metal.
How's the? Is it
Was
actually
in
a
the
good
way.
motherboard? Is it actually a good motherboard though?
I mean, it's not supported. It's too old. It's like 7th or 8th gen. Come with an i5. I bought an i7 for it because I'm thinking
you just
about
need-
replacing my
I was
main
gonna say-
rig. Now
So
you're-
then, Rob, don't you just need a new motherboard anyway? Then
no, like I can get the CPU for these older motherboards for like $60. So I
Okay.
ordered one just to try it because GPT
All right, okay.
told me to buy
No.
this one. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Actually, it was DuckDuckGo.
Bill. Leo
Well, I mean-
GPT is free.
I mean that's kind of like me asking you for advice, isn't it? And then all of my things just.
I knew that. Now the resentment. Yeah, but I didn't tell you to go open Media Vault though.
No, you didn't. It does work though. Now I'm just like sitting there going, do I really want to change it? Because it's working.
Which GPT did you say, Leo?
Leo
Leo
GPT.
GPT.
It's me,
Oh,
not
yes.
not the brave one. No.
Well, no,
that's
it's-
also
it's
trash.
It's LI, Leo Intelligence.
Doesn't
Nah.
somebody have one called Leo? Isn't that what,
Yeah,
they-
Brave.
what Brave calls
Brave
theirs?
do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
No,
should
I use
sue.
the DuckDuckGo one, which is actually pretty good.
Which model
It's
do you
just
use?
a rebrand
Just the-
of one
the
of the
default
others,
one.
please.
But I like
it's
that they
co-
give you a choice of the models.
They do.
Wait, have we
Copilot.
actually started yet?
Linux
Oh,
OTC. Welcome to episode 58.
Where Bill's still trying to remove nuts.
Yes.
Yep.
And he
I'm-
has lots of nut butter
Yes.
to help him.
We found out that Bill has 4 nuts.
Is he like a
well,
Vulcan?
That's
Because
right.
he didn't have
You can
Vulcan.
do it
No,
with
that's
both
I'm
hands.
trying to think. No, that was Doctor Who. The Doctor had 2 hearts, didn't he?
I don't know why I looked at
Ah.
these and they did not look like nuts to me. It looked like a round sort of.
What legumes?
Yeah, that's right.
I think Klingons have 2 hearts, if I'm not mistaken. They have 2 systems, 2 nervous systems, 2 hearts, 2.
What do you need 2 of those for?
Is this whole
I
thing
know,
gonna
ask
come
the Klingon.
flying out of here?
That's
Oh,
them,
yeah.
innit?
Now,
it is.
surely there was a conversation between the Klingons and the Vulcans, and the Klingons were like, "Well, this is why we're superior, and we have two of this and that and the other." And they went into it, right? Like where they're like, "And here's why it's
So,
superior."
so they must definitely have 4 nuts then.
Somebody must be
Right,
gaming
of
in your
course.
house, Majid.
You what? Sorry?
Somebody's gaming in your house or something, because your video just completely drops out. Okay.
Oh.
Uh,
So wait,
nobody's
what we're trying to
gaming,
say, what we're
but-
trying to say is Bill has a Klingon in his computer case. Got 4 nuts.
And that is the episode title. Once again, in the first 5 minutes, we've got it already. Bling,
How you gonna
Bill's
say it?
Klingon computer. Or Bill's
There you go.
Klingon nuts.
There you
I
go.
misspoke. They have an 8-chambered heart, 2 livers, multiple stomachs, 3 lungs, and a secondary brainstem. So
And 4 nuts.
and 4 nuts.
Hey, look at that! Yay, Bill, we got it! It's out of there. Woo!
That's a
Now
pretty-
lick the paste, because the snozzberries taste like snozzberries.
It wasn't on there very good. That paste clearly needed to be redone.
So
Can
for
you
the,
see
for,
the
for
writing?
For the sake of the listeners, can you and who are obviously really enjoying this visual treat that we
So-
are of seeing you struggle with this computer, but
The
this
4
is an
nuts?
audio podcast, so there are going to be some people going, "What the hell is going
So
on?"
I've-
Imagine-
Join our heroes.
Imagine, if you will, 4 nuts.
So I've recently lamented on, I don't remember if it was this show or one of the others, that I'm struggling a little bit with hardware acceleration on OBS Studio. And I bought this Intel Arc GPU that's in here. It will not work.
That
in
he's
my-
pointing to
That he's
on
pointing
an
at
audio,
audio
podcast.
podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry. Well, it works in this machine. It will not work, which is an Intel chipset. It will not work in the machine that we're making the show with, because I can only imagine, because it's an AMD chipset. And
No.
I've got a Ryzen. not
Bill asked
Ryzen.
ChatGPT on that one too.
I got Radeon Pro. No, there's no information out there on why it wouldn't work.
They are separate things.
Yeah.
You've broken it in a very special way, Bill, and I don't think it has anything to do with anything.
Well, it works just fine on this one, so I'm considering get it up and running and see if
Wait a minute,
the
I'm
performance,
confused. If it was working, then why are you putting it to bits then?
because it's got an i5 in it, and I'm
Okay.
because
trying
it
to
had 4 nuts in it.
to build up the performance to be a little bit more on par with what this Ryzen 7's got. Which
Okay.
this Ryzen 7 is way newer than this thing behind me. This machine behind me was a rock star in its day, but now it won't even officially support Windows 11.
Too many drugs.
Yeah. It's like it's in its Elvis, phase.
Oh no.
Late Elvis phase.
Don't let it go to the bathroom.
Yeah, stay away from the bathroom. Don't fall asleep
Yeah.
on the toilet.
Yeah. So okay,
Well, okay,
I was just
so
going to say that I was going to say in general though, people do seem to prefer AMD chips for this kind of thing. Am I right?
here's
Or am I
the
wrong?
problem.
Not for graphical stuff, no.
The problem is, when I install Windows on this machine, I get a fantastic driver that gives me access to hardware accelerate. It's got its own built-in H.264 encoder and all that stuff, just like
Okay.
an
And you want to
NVIDIA
mess
card.
with that. You
Just
want to
like an
mess with
NVIDIA.
that, ruin all of your good experience or whatever.
Well,
and then
because
just
we don't
struggle
have that on
Linux.
Linux. We don't have that on
Well,
Linux.
right. What I'm saying is you're choosing. You're choosing with your own mind and hands.
No,
to
they
struggle on
chose
Linux.
to not give us the same toys and tools that they're giving the Windows people.
I agree with that. I'm just saying you're making your life harder for fun.
Well, yeah. I mean, anybody.
You can just do it on Windows.
You've
but
got to
no.
be a bit of a masochist to be a Linux user, don't you? I mean,
You know, yeah.
You just- no, you don't.
You're an enemy to your own mental health if you're a Linux. Yeah.
Bill,
Honestly,
but
yeah.
no, I disagree with that, Bill. I disagree with that. You just have to buy the right hardware. Don't follow whatever ChatGPT is trying to tell you to buy or whatever, and then just figure out the Linux bits later. That's not how
So
any of
here's-
this works.
here's
That's
the
a
right
good point as
hardware.
well.
Here's the right hardware now. I'm just upgrading the CPU to something a little bit beefier because the CPUs for these older machines, you can get a pretty serious upgrade for $60 or $70, and if it works, which I'm 80%
Well,
sure it'll
ChatGPT
work.
said 50-50, so
There's a non-zero chance that this might not work.
No, what Duck AI said was that it's brilliant.
is it though?
I mean, it's fine.
Everybody has it. See, everybody does this. I love this about AI. It's my favorite thing in the world. Everybody.
We're not
does
getting
this,
away
right?
from
because
it.
when you're having a conversation about how good AI is or whatever, everybody has those experiences where it was absolute shit. They just don't want to talk about it. And then whenever you push them on it, they're like, "Well, there was this one time where it told me to put my cat in the oven, but I was smart enough to
I've not
do that,
ran
right?"
into any of that yet. The only thing I've ran into is I asked it for some showtimes on a movie, and
ECC RAM in which it does not work. Quit playing around, Bill. There's more.
No, I did not ask it about ECC RAM until I figured out that. And actually, once I figured out, hey, it's not showing the ECC as like reachable or configure, or it's not working. So that's when I got on Duck AI, and Duck AI was like, "Well, yeah, should have asked me sooner." And so I checked both of these machines.
Duck AI sounds like a OnlyFans channel. Do you know what I mean?
It's just
it's kind of cool because it gives you the choice between different language models that you can use. Listen to me.
Yeah, no, I
So
mean,
why
like,
don't- why don't-
I don't
Firefox
like-
does that as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I was going to ask, why don't you just use Firefox? Firefox does that.
Well, I used Firefox to get on DuckDuckGo, and then use their AI.
So, Ronnie, you're using an AI bot to get onto an AI search engine.
I've not had a lot of
Right.
experience with the
It's
Firefox thing because it does not
This
look.
This is
right
turning
here.
into this is Inception, isn't it?
This is my favorite thing, man.
I've
Like,
only-
this is a tech bro's dream. Like,
I've
this is
only
exactly
looked at the
what they
Firefox
wanted
thing
you
once.
to do. Use an AI to interact with another AI to interact with another AI
The
that
whole-
interacts with the last AI. That removes all of the humans out of the equation, and then you end up installing ECC RAM into a non-ECC supporting
And
machine.
all of those AIs.
I do find it hilarious how, for all the negativity we have about AI, we always spend half the show talking about AI. Is it possible
You
can
can't
do
escape it.
a show without mentioning
You
AI?
cannot
No.
escape it.
You can't.
And
I mean, it's right 85% of the time. So it is good. Don't get me wrong. It is not absolute 100% utter trash.
I mean, I've said it
But-
before, and I've said it's not the AI in of itself; it's the people who use it. People
Yeah,
who
yeah,
are blindly following it, like, you know. And it's just, I'm just amazed by how stupid people are. That, oh, I'm going to put this search and I'm going to believe what it said. It was stupid enough when it was like, why does this say this? Or because Shake Google said that. You know, now it's like, oh, Shake Chat GPT, and you're just like, you know, you just need to improve people's tech literacy a little bit.
There's a
Can't do
couple
it.
logical fallacies in all of that, right? So, one being that people are somehow perfect, and that all of
No,
the
but they're
content
not.
created by people is accurate and correct
perfect,
and germane to the search. Besides you, Leo, you're a freak.
Yeah, thank
all
you.
right? You're an
I
anomaly.
appreciate it. Thank you very much.
So, so the idea that we should hold AI to this impossible standard of 100% accuracy on what? On the content that it went and found the answer from that may be
Yes.
inaccurate?
Exactly, so that's
It's
my
going to
point.
correct the inaccuracy that's in the
Yeah.
content itself. So the
Exactly.
point
So,
is that
so it's never going to be 100%, and
No,
I think
it's
that's
not.
so- it's the people who are using it who seem to think that it's 100%. That's
well,
what,
so because that's the way it's being framed. Where you get a Google search result or a search engine search result in the classic style, you get the links and you kind of have to look for yourself and figure out, is this a source that I find credible? There's some critical thinking that's happening in that versus where just a blob of text is thrown at you and you have to make an assumption about, is this correct, isn't it? And so I think systems that give you the the link to, like, where did this come from? How did you come up with this information? That makes it far more credible And yeah, so the idea that we'll ever get to what we would call, 100% correct is just never going to happen. But secondarily to that, I do agree that there's a danger in people just assuming that an answer is right. But that's also, if you are the type of person that's going to assume that you ask a random person for that information, like you need directions to somewhere and someone gives you that information, they might be completely wrong.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't
You'll
know
find out when
that.
you get there.
Exactly, or if you don't get there. And so that's the point, is like it's just yet another thing, but it's the way that they're framing it that doesn't really make sense, because they're of course going to
But it's actually-
overpromise and underdeliver, because that's just the nature of marketing and corporations and stuff like that. But for the people that kind of understand that it isn't ever going to be this like panacea of knowledge,
Which is the
that's-
minority, the vast
Yeah, no,
minority
I get
of
that.
people.
I get that. I understand
No,
that, but that's this.
So it's
It's
about
the same argument.
It's about
Go ahead.
educating users, then, isn't it? You're educating you have to
Right.
educate users into
Right.
a responsible and sensible
No,
way
what
of
we need to
using
do-
these tools.
What we need to do is stop giving people knowledge.
Which is the
I don't
minority.
think an LLM is a good resource for general queries. Like, it's just not like, if you give it a specific, body of text, if you give it a specific like programming language, or if you give it guardrails where you're telling it very, without question, like, this is what I want you to do, and I want you to base your, thinking or whatever's happening in the background on this very specific thing, it tends to push that accuracy much higher, because you're not just asking it some general like knowledge question where it has to go out to wherever and sort of come up with the best answer it can, obviously in an immediate returning that information. So that's where I think we're doing ourselves a disservice, is positioning this technology as being the oracle, as being like the
exactly,
all-knowing.
exactly.
Well,
And again,
yeah,
and
yeah.
again,
when you
that's
use
my
it-
point.
But
And
when
again,
you
that's
use
my
it in
point.
the sense, but if you do use it for, summarizing long documents, if you use it for, coding very specific little snippets of code, or, it's very good at doing those types of like burdensome, repetitive tasks. But the way that it's being sold is like,
So
no, it's
on
the
the-
panacea of everything.
On the
So,
summary thing, it's gonna miss the main idea sometimes, so it's gonna be bad at summaries, right? Like that's kind of my point, right?
Possibly.
Where, yeah, well, no, this is where my 85%
it's like
number
asking
comes from.
it's like asking someone to do a book report.
Right,
Different
more
people are
often
going to
than
take
not-
different things from it. So
Right, more often than not, it's going to summarize the thing in a very good way. But there's going to be this outlying amount of times where it just misses the entire point of the
Correct.
thing. And with the code example, yes, it can create low-level boilerplate code, but I've got developer friends that are fighting this on the other direction, from the other direction, where it is a situation where they have people under them that they have to do code review for or whatever, and these people are just giving up straight Copilot
oh, sure. Yeah.
pushes, right? Or
Yeah.
pulls, and they're reviewing these and then having the conversation. The only way to figure this out, right, is like to actually figure out the human part of this, is to have a conversation about that code. What does this code do? Why does it do it like this? It seems like it's over-engineered for a very, very simple thing or whatever. And then they can't have a conversation with you about what's going on, because all they
They
did
didn't
was
write
ask
it.
Copilot. And this is what I mean. I
Right.
think this is kind of to Majid's point too, where people don't think about it. They're just like, well, let me just have this do it or whatever, and it'll be great. But it's
Yeah.
not great. It's never great, and that's
Right.
the whole entire point of this thing. And we're being sold the magical do everything machine. And I think people that are on the ground that are actually looking at this or whatever have realized that it absolutely is not, and it can be dangerous in a very, it's going to waste my time kind of way, or put glue on pizza kind of way. Like it will do these things, and
did
if
you-
you're not,
I mean, there's an old Arab saying actually that comes to mind, which is that the definition of a liar is one who narrates everything he hears. So everything he hears, and then it's like that's
ChatGPT.
that's kind of ChatGPT, isn't it?
It is. Because it doesn't understand. You're right. And not only do the people who use it not understand where that information comes from, neither does ChatGPT or
Yeah.
any of these LLMs, because they're trained on data that, first of all, wasn't probably very well categorized and, like cleaned very, very well. It was just sort of, the old adage of garbage in, garbage out, where they just dumped a bunch of shit in there and hoped for the best. And and I think that's probably what we're seeing is a lot of these, you know, bad answers are coming from the bad data that got fed into it. And now,
Yeah, of course.
this perpetuation of we're now generating the content that AI is now ingesting. It's generating its own content and eating its own, vomit. Basically, it's just now we're getting to a point.
AI is the equivalent of a human centipede.
Well, they need
An
more.
AI
The only
centipede.
way for AI to get better is with more and more data. But unfortunately, they've already, vacuumed up most of that data. That's at least the easy
There's
data to get at.
Yeah, there's more data they can get. There's loads.
So now the way they're going to train it is by the way we interact with it, and the way that we either approve of or disapprove. Like if we have to ask a follow-up question, then that's a failure of that the first response, right? In most cases, you would think, okay, well, if we had done the right thing the first time, they wouldn't have to ask a follow-up or look elsewhere. But I
it's
think
the definition of a beta product, isn't it? It's the definition of a beta product, isn't it?
Well, and it is
the product
absolutely.
testers. We're the product testers.
This is the Facebook methodology of move fast and break things, on the grandest scale possible, because we're just going to literally in every facet of our day-to-day lives with technology, we're just now going to take this new unproven thing and just shove it in there and see what happens.
Oh, we do everything though. We like that.
It looks like Bill has actually achieved something. I saw a chip there.
Oh,
Has
what
he
are you doing, Bill?
Oh, I got the old one out. Just
Okay.
I got it cleaned
What is
up.
the socket?
What is it? The
1151.
1151, yeah.
Got him. See, Bill, just ask me, man.
Ooh, I like that, Bill. So Bill's got one of those magnifier lamps.
It's a ring light
Yeah.
that you can look in the middle of with a magnifier.
Yeah.
If I didn't have this, I would.
And it's on an arm, so he can just move it in.
And I
He's
fed it-
already got the readers on.
He's
Not
a
good
proper
enough.
nerd, isn't he?
You got a double
I'm the same
reader.
way. I my readers get me so far, and then actually, what saves me is the magnifier app on my phone.
All right.
So that's the i5. This is the i7.
And it's funny because it's going to look exactly the same.
It does look exactly the same, except for the writing on the top.
Yeah, which we cannot see.
It's
either
a
in the
Skylake,
audio podcast
if that gives you an
or-
idea of the...
Okay.
That's
So
6th gen.
there was a question that I wanted to ask. You've been saying about getting hardware acceleration on OBS Studio.
Which
Does that
technically I am, but I'm having to use VA API in order to pull it off, which is...
So for those of us who aren't as clever, right? Why is hardware acceleration good in this scenario?
So
Because
goes
from
faster.
what you're saying, it's mainly a server, right? That you're
It goes faster.
using.
That's
no, this machine here is going to be my daily driver. If
Okay,
if
fine.
it's no, I've got 2 more CPUs on the way. Xeon CPUs for the servers.
Okay.
This one's already a Xeon. It was bought.
Don't Xeons use quite a lot of? Don't they get hot basically?
Well, we'll see how that goes.
Okay, hold on. I want to reverse and talk about a technical point that you made. You said you're using VA API for what? What hardware?
For the Radeon Pro.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
And that's the Mesa Open driver, right? So
Yeah.
like, okay,
And it
right.
works. It works fine. I'm just it irritates my lizard brain that I paid for a card that has advanced creator features that I can only use on Windows because that's only the Windows drivers give you access.
I mean, there
What else
must
are
be
you gonna
some
use?
way of. There must be some way of. There's got to be some distro or something like that that's got some driver for it.
There is an AMD GPU Pro driver
Yep.
from AMD, and you can't.
Just use Ubuntu.
That's another stupid thing. I can get proprietary drivers on Mint through their driver tool for everything except that. because
It's not distributable.
It really isn't, because it.
No, like as in the license, it's not distributable.
And the NVIDIA one is?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a problem.
I mean, I think that's why nobody ships it. But is it though? Like, because how many? What is the percentage of people that are looking for the actual AMD Pro, GPU Pro, whatever it is? I forget what it's called.
Apparently, not very many, because nobody's talking about it.
Yeah, and then so you got to remember that you are a sliver of a sliver.
Oh yeah,
because everybody else has an NVIDIA card, or they're just using their bare Intel thing with QuickSync.
So
right?
yeah, that's okay. So both of the other types of cards, the Intels, you can use QuickSync with the Mesa driver. NVIDIA, you can use NVENC with their binary driver. And both of those things work, and we've got a clear pathway on every distribution to get that up and running. Not so
because
with
most
AMD.
people are because most people that have an AMD card in a Linux machine, most, not all, are looking to use it for gaming, which Mesa does great.
Yeah,
but
it's fine for that.
Right, but when you want to access some of the more pro features, like the whatever the AMD CUDA cores are, I forget what they're called, but those to actually do the like rendering and things like that, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. VA API is good enough for most cases or whatever. Even Kden Live supports that kind of thing, but yeah, it's just very few people care about that feature set.
Are we
on
saying
Linux.
that like NVIDIA is more open than AMD in the sense that their pro drivers? I mean, NVIDIA's drivers work on any system, right? Whereas this AMD
Not
as
more
long as
open,
you
they're just
pay-
making the functionality available to us.
Right. And so
Well,
it may
this-
not be the licensing that's preventing people from passing around the AMD Pro driver. It may just be that nobody wants it or
Well,
nobody
no,
uses
the requirement is Windows. There's no driver for Linux that I can see.
There is,
but
but I tried it on Mint, the 2404 version. You don't actually get the driver and install it as a binary. It's got this. You install the tool as a deb, and then you access it through the shell, and then install it with its own tooling. It's a bit of a faff.
So the
I
question,
see. Okay, so there's
Yeah.
a RHEL, Ubuntu,
Yeah.
and SLOS. Okay.
So
It
Bill,
did
you're
not work
using
on
you're
Mint.
using right, correct. Hold on. So, but it's listed RHEL, Ubuntu, or SLED. You're
And-
not using one of those.
The one for Ubuntu should absolutely work on 22.2 Mint.
No, I
Why
mean
not?
yes. Like I don't know, but I'm telling you, like on this page of AMD support, it does not say and also Linux Mint, which leads me to believe that unless there is like a Linux Mint thing where they're officially endorsing that it totally should work or whatever, that you are out of bounds.
No,
and are on
I
your own.
appreciate that.
Yeah, just use Ubuntu. If just
but then I would
use
have
Ubuntu.
to. God, the hoops I would have to jump through to get things working the way I think they should work.
There it is. There's the thing that Linux.
Why do I
users,
have to use something I don't want to use just in order
exactly?
to use an expensive video card?
So
you know?
at that point, why didn't you just buy NVIDIA?
Well, I
Yeah,
did.
It is demonstrably better.
Here.
I've got an NVIDIA card, but I've also
Use
got
that.
this. That's the other thing. The NVIDIA card works in this machine, but only with. I forgot about this. It only works with the Nuvo driver, which means you do not have access to NVENC.
That's an old NVIDIA card then.
I've actually got two.
So
And anyway, while you're looking over
Is-
there, my
my
point is
take-
just buy hardware that that like is the best tool for the job. Buy the tool for
So
the job.
here, let me see if I can paraphrase this, and you tell me if I'm not understanding. So everybody loves AMD because it's included in the driver, or I'm sorry, in the kernel. But it's basically a subset of capabilities, and if you want all of the capabilities of your AMD card, then you have to have this Radeon software, and it only runs on certain systems that have been deemed, I guess, supported. But you can run an NVIDIA card on basically anything, as far as I know, and have all the, access
There's-
to all of the features.
There's nuance to that, but yes, you're generally correct. Yeah, I mean, so the Mesa stuff is open, right? So AMD has open sourced that code. That code is open to everyone to inspect and all of that stuff. There are the subset that you're talking about, the pro thing. I forget what they specifically call it, but it's basically getting access to, essentially doing transcoding or those types of things and using it for CAD or whatever. So those types of features are still proprietary for AMD and live in their ProDriver.
But NVENC
NVIDIA
is proprietary for NVIDIA.
Hold on though, right? So the NVIDIA thing lives in the same boat as the AMD ProDriver.
Okay.
You have to do the same amount of work to get those two drivers to work. The difference is AMD open sources the stuff that most people care about.
So we're right
Should
back
they
to back to me just being a niche, and there's not enough
Yes.
people that want this feature working on Linux.
Right. Should they open up the pro stuff and allow that to drop into Mesa so that we can use those on a day-to-day? Absolutely, yes, for sure. But there's still, for the use case of 99% of the people out there using AMD, whatever, it's just in Mesa. It's in the kernel, so it's fine.
And to be fair,
If it's a new enough kernel.
I mean, they've been doing that for quite a while. So
Yeah,
unless you
Mesa's-
have like the latest and greatest AMD, whatever, I mean, not necessarily. But yeah, if you just bought the newest one of whatever, then yeah, you're gonna have to be chasing a new kernel.
I've got two of these. One's an NVIDIA Quadro K2200, and the other is a Quadro M2000, which is slightly
Yeah.
smaller. But I like these because they've got multiple ports for multi-monitor. This one's only got two, but you can
Hey, that's the older one. It's got DVI.
yeah.
So,
But-
Leo, I have a question. Go ahead, finish your thought, and then I have a question for Leo.
I'll just finish this off with, I just wanted somewhat parity feature set with the Intel stuff, which just works. I install the Intel driver and bam, quick sync.
Who's selling off to NVIDIA, by the way? So Intel cards are gonna eventually not be a thing anymore. They're just gonna shove NVIDIA bits inside.
Yeah, I heard something about that.
That's unfortunate, but I never
It is,
really felt
actually.
like it went anywhere for them.
Well, they did. They invested enough to get it off the ground, but not enough to actually take care of it. So eventually, of course, you're just gonna give up.
Yeah. So there you go.
So I have a question about the difference between a TPU and GPU, especially when it comes to AI, local AI. So,
The TPU or the neural cores?
NPU.
well,
or
whatever, the NPU. Sorry, NPU.
Oh, okay.
TPU is a Google thing. You're right. So NPU.
That's whatever's. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
TensorFlow.
Tensor processing units.
Tensor. That's it.
So, so I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, the idea of getting a larger video card in order to do local AI stuff. The card I have now only has 6 gigs of video RAM, and so that's kind of the limiting factor. But rather than spend more money on a card that's more of like a gaming focused card, which I don't need, is a neural processor a better choice? I mean, I didn't know if you had any thoughts on this, or
It
it just
depends
sort
on.
of-
Yeah, it depends on the model that you're trying to run and the software that you're running it on top of or whatever. Does it support that NPU? And if it does, is the LLM essentially compiled? I forget the word for it, but essentially compiled for that NPU. And if those two questions are yes, your software is yes, and the model that you're using is yes, then yes, using an NPU is absolutely 1,000% going to be faster in doing whatever it is that you're trying to do. The reason everybody builds everything on top of GPUs is because GPUs are fantastically like bendable. You can make them do anything you want them to do. This is why early crypto mining was done on GPUs. This is why video games are done on GPUs. This is why transcoding is done on GPUs. The CUDA cores, and I still forget the AMD name of theirs, but those individual
AMF
graphics processing cores. No, I don't think so. But those cores are just so flexible to be able to do just about anything. Just like a CPU is super flexible, right? But you only have eight cores. You have a slimmer subset of what it can do or whatever, and then you put 1,000 of them on a graphics card, and you can just get blazing fast results for depending on what you're trying to do, right? Like render a ball in Blender is blazingly fast if you're using a GPU versus a CPU. I mean that one kind of tracks, but no one really tracks the AI stuff, and that's why you buy them. But these NPUs are getting a whole lot better. The word ASIC, I forget what it stands for, but it basically is just a purpose-built brain, a purpose-built CPU. So like once GPUs, like we started to saturate how much a GPU could do when it came to crypto mining or whatever, people started to create ASICs, which did the exact math that you needed to do for the crypto and nothing more. So once they changed that math or whatever, those ASICs became worthless. But the GPUs, you can still fall back on those to do a lot of that work or whatever. But anyway, it's worth it if you know the software and the model that you plan on using, and you know that those things both support the NPU.
I mean, it seems like as time goes on, they are finding ways to run these models, even larger models, on less and less hardware, resources. Like you can run it with,
I mean, I was watching I was watching a video today about a guy who managed to install it onto his NAS, a particular LLM which ran then locally, and the NAS wasn't a particularly powerful one. It had an ARM chip, so it seems that yes, you can do some of this stuff locally and sensibly as well.
You have to be careful with those types of comparisons. So again, I'm not an expert, yada, yada, yada. But the way that I see it is when you're running those local models, you're very, very restricted to the amount of memory that you have on your machine. So when you say, yeah, you can run a local model on your own machine or whatever, and it uses less energy and it does, but it's going to be wrong more often because you're not running the same model that DeepSeek is running. You're not running the same model that Google is running. You're running a stripped down version of that model that fits within the amount of memory that you can shove it into. So, it's got less training data. It's got less, essentially, logic. So it's going to be less capable. But when you take these models and you purpose build them for a single thing, I mean, for as much as we hate it, think of the way that Microsoft is doing recall, right? Like they're building a model specifically to be able to look at a picture and give you a general idea of what's going on in that picture. And so that model can be small because it's focused. And I think that's really the key to all of this. I think that's kind of what DeepSeek opened everybody's eyes to, is when you purpose build a model to do very specific things and you just kind of shove that model in whenever the use case requires it, you get better and faster results. But yeah, it's memory dependent. You have to be very careful with those types of, I logged onto Gemini versus I got the Gemma LLM or whatever, and I shoved it on my own memory or whatever.
Okay.
They're not one-to-one.
So far, the only thing, I mean, I probably use it more than I should, but I wanted to wrap my head around it, and for me, it's been a really good tool to skip over all. I mean, it has sped up my searching for technical information. It's pretty good for that.
Let me throw something out there for you. I'm not saying that you're wrong. You absolutely are right that it does speed up your technical searches, but I think that's not because AI is good. I think that's because Google is shit, and it has become increasingly bad year after year after year after year. So
do you think that's as a result of them in shitifying the search to move people off onto their Gemini, or
Sort
is
of.
it just
See-
not
see,
getting as
the-
much love, or a combination?
It's a mix of
So I always think that it's not so much an active process of making something bad. It's all of you with a lot of these things. You need to be putting a certain amount of work to be standing still. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just to be
Yeah.
maintaining the quality. There's a X amount of investment, X amount of work, X amount, whatever you want to say, right? So they've just diverted that money to somewhere else, right? Or that their
In this
emphasis
case,
to
AI.
somewhere else. Yeah. And so what then happens is, as I said, you're not doing the maintenance on the original thing to keep it up to speed.
Right.
And so it is going to deteriorate, isn't it?
What's
Performance
funny.
deteriorates over time, that kind of thing. So I don't think it's like their purpose. Yeah, it's like a lot of these things. People aren't generally clever enough. Even a big multinational isn't clever enough to make something so shit and not, people not figure it out that it's doing it on purpose. But they
Well,
they will let something die on the vine.
Yeah,
if
one of the
necessary.
things that I think Google has to be fighting against, I mean, they're fighting against themselves, right? Because they created this algorithm that would basically look for a web page and try to answer the query of the searcher as best as possible, right? And so they made these rules. They're internal only rules, though. Like Google doesn't go out and tell you what exactly to put on your page to be on the top result. People were reverse engineering the algorithm and basically saying, oh, so if we put these words in there, they can be hidden or they can be visible or whatever. And if we put these in our article, then that's going to actually uprank us in Google. And this is what we call today search engine optimization. So when we figured this out, it's basically a game of cat and mouse. Google kind of tweaking their SEO so that people get downranked that don't belong up at the top or whatever, and then people reverse engineering those changes to be able to still scam their way up to the top. And that, I think, is probably what Bill is seeing the most when he's talking about, oh, I get faster answers with AI. Well, of course, because when you Google it, all of the SEO spam is the first 20 results. And you have to be on page 3 of Google to actually get the first non-synthetic result that just happens to have the right words in the query or whatever. And that's, I think, the maintenance burden that Google really had to go against, that really had to work toward essentially escaping. But it's a monster of their own making. They created this monster, and now they have to fight it, and they're losing that fight. They are not winning that fight. But then they're also doing the thing that Eric had said, where it's gobbling up wrong answers or whatever, and AI now is the top result because that's what they want you to see, is now spitting out 15% falsities, and you're
It just
in this situation.
compounds. Yep.
Exactly, and search is such a terrible, terrible, terrible thing these days that it does make me wonder: is it just worth it to spend $8 stupid on Perplexity for them to do my searching for me so that I have to deal with it less? Or is it better to spend $4 a month on Kagi, which is apparently Google before it got bad?
Yeah.
I mean, I know people that say that DuckDuckGo results, like they can only use Google and DuckDuckGo gives them terrible results. I've been using DuckDuckGo for at least 5 years, if not longer. And my use of it day to day is I am able to find everything I need to find.
Yeah.
It still gives me.
Eric?
Yes.
I have the answer to this. We're old Googlers.
Yeah.
We know how it used to be. So we use DuckDuckGo the way that Google used to work, and DuckDuckGo gives us fantastic results because we know what we're looking for. It's people that expect DuckDuckGo to work the way that Google does today that get no results.
There is a skill to it,
for,
isn't there? There's a bit of skill to searching for things, knowing how to word your queries and that.
This is my other point about Perplexity. Like, is it worth it to just pay the whatever it costs to get Perplexity? Because this is the problem with search for years and years and years. There was an art to it. There was no, I don't want to see this word. I want to see this very specific phrase. I don't want to have, this year range. I don't want any of this, that, and that, but I do want this. You could get really fantastically specific with your searches back in the day before Google decided to take those as suggestions and not requirements. And people had a really hard, it was a skill. People didn't want to spend the time to build that skill up to learn how to find what they wanted on the internet. But Perplexity is now giving you this opportunity to now talk to Google the way people were trying to talk to Google 20 years ago. Now you can just say, I want to know about this. And then it will be like, boom, here's some basics and here's some links for you to do some further research. Like, that's what people wanted 20 years ago, and it exists today. Is it wrong sometimes? Yeah, sure, of course. But it's generally correct. And is it worth it to anybody to dive down that rabbit hole and just say, I guess.
Well, for what it's worth, DuckDuckGo, again, I know that they do a lot on AI and they have Duck AI and all that, but their search assist is pretty good. It doesn't automatically come up, but if you're looking at results and I do think some types of queries lend themselves to a verbose text answer, more so than just a series of links. And so I do like the idea of having a search assist available to me that gives me just sort of a general answer, but then I can click, and it does show me within that answer where it got that information from, and then I can click more, and then it'll go out and do the more thinking, and again still give me it essentially will go pull more data from that same result or bring in a new result. Now I have to say that in having looked at all of the AI products, I really like Perplexity. I don't disagree with you at all. If I'm doing any kind of research, Perplexity is amazing because it does give you so much depth in terms of like where it's getting it from and all the resources behind it. But day to day, DuckDuckGo is just a perfect balance of that traditional set of links that I'm used to, and then peppering in and slowly sort of adding in AI on top of it where it's useful. And
so this reminds me a little bit actually about the conversation we used to have. Well, we have had lots of times about desktop paradigms, isn't it? In a sense that
we're old. We like them.
Yeah, in that one of the reasons we got things like Cinnamon and Mate was because people were going towards Unity, GNOME Shell 3, in Windows was doing that whole Metro thing and whatever.
Which was fantastic, by the way. Metro was the best of...
I quite liked it, actually. And then so people were like, well, actually, we had something that worked, that was suitable. So why not we just try and develop something like that? And so, in a sense, DuckDuckGo search or Brave search or these are basically like the Cinnamons and Mates of search. They're like the way things used to be when things still worked and weren't necessarily going after the fad. Now, if I follow my analogy further, that will mean that probably in about 5, 6, 7 years' time, the AI stuff would become good, but we would have had to have lived with all of that for that to happen.
Well, if they continue to train AI the way they're training AI, I don't think that it will ever be always right. I think that's one of the flaws of the way that they train current models. So there would have to be a seismic shift in the way that they deal with training data for them to have any kind of like correct streak. They will always get stuff wrong if there's wrong stuff in the training set. It's the way that it's going to be.
But see, that's the difference between just bad information, so garbage in, garbage out, versus hallucinating. So if they can get it to a point where it's not hallucinating information and literally just like fabricating versus just quoting an incorrect source. Because I think everybody would understand.
Is also part of the way that these things work, right? Because they're trained on human speech. And if they write a correct sentence that sounds, conversational or whatever, if the more that they weight that higher, the more that you're going to get those types of hallucinations, because it is the AI's job to stay consistent and coherent. It doesn't have to be right. It just has to be coherent.
Well, and so it also goes beyond that. It has to have an answer. So that's
what I mean. Yeah. You've got to finish the sentence.
Right. So it can't just say, I don't know, right? It's not allowed to do that. So the parameters and the way that it's built, an answer is better than no answer. And so
unless it's Gemini, in which case you can tell it, well, it won't tell you, it will tell you something wrong for sure. And then you're like, no, that's not right. And then it's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And then it like seppukus all over everybody and everything.
Right.
It's great.
I do that all the time where it's like, you are completely wrong about that. It is not factually correct. And then it goes, oh, you're right. Oh, geez, sorry, I made a mistake. And it's like, well, me telling
I-
you made a mistake doesn't
I,
doesn't
I
help.
wanted a rep. I wanted like an assistant or whatever, not a buddy.
Yeah.
What do you mean, man?
Well,
Get it
but
right.
again, I go back to this idea of like, what is the expectation? Because if you have an assistant, they're never going to be 100% correct all the time. They're going to make mistakes, and it's
Yeah, but an
dealing with
assistant,
people
a human assistant would tell you 70% confidence on this, but an AI won't do that.
potentially, but maybe that will be the next sort of evolution of this technology. Is there will be room for gray area. There will be room for interpretation, or as it actually becomes potentially smarter. Because I mean, we the tech people who understand this know that it's just word salad, right? It isn't. There's no intelligence behind it. It's just basically giving what it thinks is the next probable word in a sequence of words and blah blah blah. So, but as they maybe potentially find ways to make that, they're laying more sort of like controls and filters on top the reasoning models and stuff like that, that we do get to a point where it is looking at the answer it's generating and saying, well, how confident am I in this being correct, and giving
I,
some
I
sort of like a yeah.
I do take that back. They do have a confidence meter in some of the more complex questions or whatever,
Yeah.
especially with the reasoning models.
Yeah.
But the reasoning models are just asking the same question to itself over and over and over again to get kind of an average of
Yeah,
what the
kinda.
answer should be. And
Yeah.
so I mean, it's not seismic. We're not seismic yet. We haven't made groundbreaking changes. I don't know
No, but
that we can get there.
to Maj's point, this is the move fast and break things. They're just putting it out there.
Yeah.
And so the training, the initial training of the LLMs was give it all the data that they can steal from everywhere in the world. And then now it's
Legally.
how do the people, I think phase 2 is like, how do people interact with what we're giving them, in terms of, do they ask follow-up questions? Do they rate like, I don't think anyone even, I'm pretty careful about like saying, yes, I agree with this. And I'll give a thumbs up or a thumbs down or whatever. But that's just because I want it to get better. Whereas I think most normal people just can't be bothered. So, I don't know. I'm not, it's impossible for us to just wholesale reject the technology, because no matter what we think, the companies have spent so much money on this that they're not going to back down. They're not going to just say, you're right. We were just to forget about all that.
Yeah.
It's not
I
going to
think
happen.
so yeah, I mean, yeah, I think you're right. I mean, and that's why I have the opinions I have, because I've spent a lot of time with these stupid things.
Me too.
And it's it is. It's one of those technologies that's just never going to go away. It's always going to stay around in some form or fashion or whatever. And I think that's just the way that these work all the time, right? Like, we're going to realize that MIT is right, and that 85, 80, 90, whatever percent of companies that integrated AI into their
Yeah.
workflows of their employees or whatever have not seen any appreciable like benefit from using AI. Sure, you might find productivity gains here, but you lose them here. And I mean, we're gonna separate the wheat from the chaff. Isn't that what it's called? Whatever.
Yeah, that's
And
yeah, that's the
yeah, and so we'll be left eventually with a distilled version of what we have today, and I think we'll be better for it. But at that point, we'll be the people that are hawking it will freely say, "Oh yeah, but it's got limitations," because they're not saying that right now. It's an
No, they're
answer
not.
machine, baby, and ask it anything, it'll tell you everything.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and I think that the younger generation, and I hate to be like this, the old man approach to this, but it's just like they won't check their email because it's just not something that they think is valuable or worth their time. They're going to take technology and use it the way that it suits them best. And you can make something with the intention of it being for a certain purpose or used in a certain way, and people are going to do what they want with it and use it the way that they
Yep.
think it suits them, and they're going to adopt it much more readily than we will, and then they're going to I guess become the guinea pigs. I still think things like social media have had a tremendously negative effect on
You don't have to
society
think.
as a
There are
whole.
studies.
Okay,
Yeah,
there's
I
studies
mean,
that show that to be true.
when I look back at like what's changed in the last 20 years and why the society, why we are the way we are, why everything's so contentious, why it's so hostile, and and I really think a lot of that just comes from platforms that give people a voice to say nasty things without any repercussions. And
6-7.
please. So anyway,
Yeah.
you're right, Majid. It is a gamble. It's just, no, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of thought behind, the intention, again, why people do things. And I do think altruistically, a lot of the people working on it do really think it's going to improve our lives and make things better. And maybe this is just a pain that we need to go through to grow and get to that point. But also maybe it becomes the worst thing that's ever happened to us. Maybe it's the best. Maybe we don't know.
Since social media? I mean,
Yeah.
I guess so.
Well, I'm sure every time mankind has made a terrible invention, we manage to make another more terrible one afterwards.
Right.
So
No, I think you're right. I mean, we've made a whole lot of things, right? Like, I mean, the printing press, right? Like, we can print some pretty bad words,
yeah.
pretty bad thoughts and things like that. So, I mean, any technology that you create for good is going to definitely be used for bad. We see that in cybersecurity all of the time, right?
Yeah. It's just, I mean, social media.
So I'm just going to say, so
Social media
speaking
on
of technology, has anybody got anything new? Anything new that, they found interesting from a technological perspective?
Cosmic
if this-
data
if
looks
this-
cool.
Oh, okay. So, how cool is it?
I don't know yet. I haven't really installed it, but it looks cool. I thought maybe one of you actually, Majid, I
used the
thought I
alpha.
figured you'd have had it. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I use the alpha quite a bit, and there are definitely some glaring oversights. But I mean, you think the concept of what they've undertaken and what they've been able to achieve with a fairly small team. I mean, System 76 is a company, but it's not like a cash flow wealthy
Yeah,
company.
yeah.
I mean, there are constraints. They have a small team, and the fact that they've been able to basically come up with a very feature complete, desktop environment is pretty freaking amazing, honestly. And yeah, I mean, so there's some things that are sort of missing and not perfect, but
Mhm.
day to day, you can just sit there and use it, and very
So it's 'cause-
few things.
so-
There's very few roadblocks, I guess, to
Yeah,
day
so
to
I
day
had the alpha.
productivity.
I had the alpha, and it was. I found, yeah, you're right. As a general purpose machine, it worked fine. There were a couple of paper cuts, jank, but then I just put that down to the fact that it was an alpha, And then in what can only be described as fantastic timing, I decided, let me move on to the next thing, to DistroHop, the day before the beta came out. But I have downloaded that ISO to try again. It's a very keyboard focused desktop, isn't it?
It can
For
be,
something
yeah.
that's, I mean, because I remember thinking there were all sorts of keyboard shortcuts everywhere.
But think of what Pop OS is, though. So Pop OS is that sort of amalgamation of a traditional floating window desktop with controls for, grids and doing some different sort of, paradigms that aren't normally in the type of system. So, they've sort of been moving towards that, using on the fly, changing and being able, and a lot of that is sort of, you can do it with your mouse, but I think the expectation is that if you're a power user and you're using those layouts and things like that, you're probably going to be using keyboard shortcuts, because window managers in general, like, you're just like that's just the way it works. I mean, you're not using the mouse.
So who do you think this desktop is for? I mean, I know the obvious answer is, well, it's the people who buy System 76 laptops, but I mean, I'm just thinking, it's not a game. It is kind of gaming, but it's not gaming focused. You're talking about power user stuff, but it's still not based on GNOME, but it's got that very similar kind of aesthetic. I'm asking this as a question, not as a criticism. I'm asking it as a question. Who do we actually think this is for?
For people that want it.
I mean, I think, again, because you have you out of the box, it's just a standard sort of floating window desktop environment that can then be changed and made into some. I think that's what people are excited about, is that the ability to make it into different things.
Yeah, I think it does target that group of people that want a full desktop but also want the power of a tiling window manager. So if you live in the middle of those two, like you want one but you also want the other, and there's niceties here, but that you know, if you're in that middle, I think that's really who they're trying to target.
Yeah, I mean it's Rust based, which everybody, in the world today seems to love Rust more
Woohoo,
than
tetanus.
yeah, right. And so that's one part of it. It's pretty lightweight, so I mean I think it's going to run on any hardware pretty well. They seem to be, it's Wayland based. It's so
Yeah.
it sort of ticks all those boxes of like a modern desktop environment, but just a different take on it.
A modern tiling desktop manager.
Yeah, weird, right?
You were going to do this as an experiment, weren't you, on Linux user space? At least the last episode I heard.
Yeah, so we're dropping that episode on Monday, and that's where we talk about how we plan on some of the plan on how we're gonna deal with that. So I do have to install that pretty soon, so we can talk about it for the next episode. Yeah,
Because you had a couple of things on the ideas. You had that, and you had KDE Linux as well.
yeah, I
Yeah.
like that. So I've just there are two big things that are happening right now, right? Like Cosmic Beta is coming out. We might see a full release in the next couple of months. And then KDE Linux. But the factor that ties these two things together is that these are two desktops with a reference implementation. Now, GNOME has one. They don't encourage you to use it, but they have the GNOME desktop. Now, KDE has KDE Linux, and Cosmic has, Pop! OS has Cosmic, or I don't, whatever. And so you have these reference implementations of these desktops. So you have this is the way that it should be run. If your desktop changes that or whatever, that's fine. But here's how we believe it should be, and I think there's a little to be said about running it the way that the developers meant it to be. So that's kind of going to be the journey for a little bit.
I mean, because Android had that for a while, didn't it? Nexus,
Yes.
The Nexus program was pretty much that. The Pixel,
Yep.
a little bit less, but
And I had a Nexus for exactly that reason. So I guess this is a recurring bone in my body, I guess.
So have you ever actually tried KDE Linux?
Not yet. So sneak peek, I guess. Like we're gonna focus on Cosmic for the first little bit, and as KDE Linux's alpha kind of amalgamates a little bit better, a little bit more, then we'll start to branch out that direction. But early on, I feel like, and I mentioned it in that episode, but like if I were to put it on a machine right now, I would just have a laundry list of complaints, and by the time the episode aired, those complaints will have already been fixed. So it wouldn't be worth the time that we spend on it to complain about it or to say, yeah, this is great, because the next time it won't be great, or that thing will be fixed. So
it's not fair. Yeah, it's not fair.
Yeah,
it really
and
isn't.
I didn't want to. I didn't want to put that kind of thing out there. Whereas Cosmic is closer to a release, so I feel more comfortable playing around with it.
So
yeah, I think Cosmic is pretty feature complete at this point. It's just going to be little changes.
So I when we were talking about it on Mincast last week, the one thing I think I got myself a little bit tied up in knots because I didn't exactly. So KDE Linux is Arch based, but not Arch package.
Yes,
it's kind of immutable, but not immutable.
Think about where it comes from, right?
So,
the I think it's Tech Paladin now, but the people that are working on KDE Linux are also the same people that are in the same swirl of SteamOS. It's the same.
Okay.
It's the same general people. I mean, there's obviously more on both sides that don't really necessarily interact or whatever, but there's a driving force to keep those kinds of things, those two things together. And so KDE Linux being very, very similar to what SteamOS is, right? It's Arch based, but there's no Pacman on SteamOS.
Yeah, true.
Same with KDE Linux. It's Arch based. The packages come from Arch, but you don't deal with it like an Arch. So it won't tickle Bill's fancy, but it certainly will be not bleeding edge, right? But it'll be on the edge of what is available, as well as recoverable when things go wrong, which will also not tickle Bill's fancy. He likes things when they break, and it just kind of gives you this situation where, it's just up to date essentially, and it's immutable, so you can't break it too terribly bad.
I'm just wondering, why do you think it took them so long to come up with the idea? Because they've been doing KDE Neon for almost 10 years.
I mean, so KDE Neon was in a weird spot. I wanted to do something on Linux user space about KDE Neon, but the thing kind of fell apart toward the end. And I mean, I guess it would still be an interesting history or whatever, but there was, I wouldn't say bad blood, because there's a lot that we don't know that happened behind the scenes. That's the real reason I didn't want to do a history on it, because there's so much that I wouldn't be able to say. So there was a lot that went on that we couldn't have said, or that we wouldn't have known, but it just wound down. And then in the last few years, people just generally weren't very happy with it, in terms of stability, in terms of, updates and things like that. And I mean, the developer side wound down as well. I mean, wasn't it just one guy? Wasn't it just Jonathan Riddell, I think?
By the end, yeah. By the end, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and that's a lot of work to ask of anybody, to maintain an entire distribution. Clem, but he's got a team behind him too, right? So I don't. But again, that's all I know. There's way more to that story that I just wouldn't be able to tell.
Yeah, but probably it sounds like it's a project that had run its course in a sense. But whatever the aims had been, anything extra that wanted to be achieved couldn't be achieved within that framework, maybe.
Right, and its spiritual successor is KDE Linux. The KDE Neon spirit it lives on, right? I mean, that's what KDE Neon was, right? It was the reference implementation of KDE Plasma. So, I mean, it's just...
Yeah, I mean, I always used to wonder why they'd gone towards the Arch base, having been on an Ubuntu base before. But now I see your point now about the fact that, because of the SteamOS connection, as it were. Do you know what I mean? So that does make that does make sense. So that'll be interesting, wouldn't it? There've been some more Mint news as well. Some redesigned Cinnamon menu stuff, more Wayland stuff. I was seeing it on it was in our Discord.
I got to remember to look up that menu thing, because I normally get rid of the stock menu in favor of the Cinnamon menu, which is kind of a...
Oh, the bigger one, basically. The one you can make bigger.
It's almost Windows 10.
Yeah. I know which one you mean.
Yeah, but I like that one a lot better, because it's a lot more configurable, and you can actually have a screen full of favorite applications that pop up, which you really don't have that concept with the stock menu. You got favorites.
The stock menu is very Windows 7-y, isn't it?
Well, I mean, you can put favorites on it, but you can only really put a few, because they're in a row off to one side, and
then it scrolls up and down, and it just
And I still do use. I mean, I use like a launcher, like, I don't know.
Albert
or
what I
something
use.
like that, or Launcher.
Albert's so good.
Or whatever the desktop comes with. I mean, Cinnamon, I just hit the super key and then type what I want, and hit enter.
I think there's a lot of traditional users that just would never. That's not a thing. So for the same reason that Windows 8 failed, because everybody couldn't find the start menu, but it was in the same place that it always was. So if you did the same mouse movement that you always have done for your entire life, it would definitely have done the exact thing that you expected it to do, but it wasn't there on the screen. So
I think people confuse that big full page start menu as the home screen. I think that's what screwed people up.
Yeah, and so so people weren't ready for that paradigm of press a button on your keyboard, type out your query, and then hit enter. And so that means that I think a lot of those people still exist, or just stopped computing. But yeah, so there's fewer people to do the whole Spotlight thing from macOS, which is like Albert and ULauncher and KRunner and all that kind of thing. Which I think, if you're using a desktop, man, that is the superior way to get a hold of absolutely anything, because it does files too. That's a huge part of it.
I really wish KRunner was something that you could get on other non.
It's Albert. It's called Albert.
Yeah, I know. I use Albert. Albert's good. I'm just saying, I do like. It's one of the things I miss if I ever move away from KDE.
I miss it right now because I'm on Bluefin, so I don't have direct access to it, and it's sad.
But I mean, you can still do the whole GNOME Super and search, can't you?
not the same.
And-
but yes, you can, and it tries to be the same. It's just not the same. It's not the same.
Yeah, I always found files an issue with that. You could never really get search through file. Finding applications was easy. You know, put a file in and you'll be like, I
I've
know
never
this file
used it.
exists. 'cause
I've never
moved
used those things for searching for files. I know a lot of people do, but I've just never.
Bill,
it's
that's because
workflow again,
you're
isn't
so no. It's because Bill is scatterbrained and doesn't name his files anything coherent, so he
Oh, I
can't ever
absolutely
find
do.
them because he
I'm
he
actually-
doesn't remember what they're called.
I'm very
oh,
much.
really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm.
Oh, I'm the
Stickler
opposite.
about
You're
that.
the guy.
I'm Mr. That,
No,
I'm Mr.
no
OCD, man,
spaces.
when it comes to this.
No, don't put any spaces. Don't put any weird characters. Make sure that the names have to make sense. And
You're the perfect candidate to be doing the file search in KRunner and
yeah,
Friends.
I think I put a applet down by the menu that's got like the list of bookmarks, and then I go in from there. I've never gotten on to the hitting the button and typing it out, and I've never gotten on to the way of thinking, the app centric way of thinking, where the concept of a file system is sort of obfuscated away into the applications, much the way the phones kind of work.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you know that it's I can't manage without a file system.
Well, yeah.
I've always judged people by the number of emails in their inbox. That kind of
Unread
tells me the
emails or
type of
total
person.
emails.
Just total emails, unread and total. I mean, just it doesn't matter. If you operate by leaving all of your mail in one place and then just searching for it, that tells me you're that type of person.
Yeah,
but if
I
you're
do
the
that.
type of person that has subfolders or labels in Gmail or whatever, and you are adamant about
Waste of time.
I have copious labels in Gmail.
Yeah,
it's
I
not
can't
a
be
waste
bothered.
of time, Leo.
And
I've
tried
and
to-
rules
it's
set
too
up
much
to
work.
automatically
Yo-
put
Yes,
emails.
me too. I have so many rules.
You'll never convince me otherwise. You'll
Ah.
never
Yeah.
convince me that it's worth all
Here's-
that
here's a
time
perfect-
and effort to
here's
put
a
them in
perfect-
a
That's
folder.
the point.
No,
'Cause I
listen,
used to
listen
do
to
it. So I'm like what Leo says. I used to do all that, and then after a while, it's just too much bloody work.
No,
and then
no, it's
when
not.
I stopped doing it, and then I could still find what I needed to find. And if I
you
missed
can't. You
something,
think
I
you
was going to
can.
miss it anyway.
Oh, I
You think you
absolutely
can.
can. I absolutely can.
So listen, here's a perfect use case. All right, I have all the filters set up for my clients where if they send me something, it just tags them in Gmail with that their whatever their tag. I have a customer that came back to me after 7 years of not working for them, and I wanted to know what the correspondence was and what the last sort of things I've
Just
done
type in
for
his
them.
name. Done.
No, it doesn't. Gmail does not search that well. It does not. I don't trust search results as much as I trust the diligence of
So
labels. Let me finish. And so if I go to that label, it just literally will show me a list of everything I need to see. No question about whether I have to search for anything or I'm getting a good result. It's all right there because I carefully curated it. Yes, I know for a lot of people that's extra work they don't want to do. But it's as simple as the first time you get an email from that person, you create a filter, and it will always do it for you from then on. You don't ever have to think about it.
I couldn't
So-
imagine doing that with because right now I have right over 100 students. Right now, I couldn't imagine creating a label.
So then
for
just have
100.
a broader categorization. That's all.
No, I just type
If
in their name.
Well, listen, it's whatever you're comfortable. It's however you are comfortable
Yeah,
doing
it is.
I was a sysadmin where I couldn't let a single thing go. Like if I missed an
But we
email,
have to be detail oriented. That's a
What
big
if their
part
name
of the
is
job.
not
Right.
on the email? I mean, are they? Do
Why
they,
wouldn't it be?
Why would it be? What are we talking
They're
about?
not
here?
emailing me from. They're not emailing me. Well, okay. So if that were
I
the
couldn't
case,
work. Actually, like let me just say this. I have never worked yet in a situation where I have to use something like Teams or what's the Slack.
Slack.
Because I think if I had to use something like that, it would drive me absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Because
But-
because it's just this long string of comments. It's just like, how in the fuck can I find anything that worth looking at in here when it's all just a jumble of like.
That's why I don't
crap.
like Telegram.
So two things, right? Like so Eric, to your questions, never have important conversations in there. That is a rule that your team has to agree on, right? Like, or if that's the case, you make sure to follow up with an email that solidifies the
Got it.
information after the fact.
Okay, that makes sense.
But Bill, to your question, what if they don't tell you their name, or their name is not associated with the? I ask, "What's your name?" And when they tell me their name, it is now part of the email chain that when I search it, that email chain comes up. So there's no way that, like, because I'm not just going to answer some rando question from some rando email about somebody's grade or something like that, right? Like, who is this? And you know, well, I don't. There are rules that I can't even do that, right? So like, you have to be emailing me from your school email, otherwise.
So you're
gonna
always going to get the same email address from the same person. They're not going to email you from their Yahoo account or something like that. Which,
Yeah, but if your customer starts doing that, I mean, you got to bonk them over the head, man. Like, come on, dude. Stop
Yeah.
making my job hard.
I'm just saying, sometimes, I mean, and I can see your case where students are using their own email or whatnot, but I can see
Yeah, and
how...
it'll be a different set of 50 to 100 students next semester too. So, you know, going in and even creating a general label or whatever. And then, yeah, man, it just pours in. Email just pours in. I'm gonna sit in front of, you know, anywhere between 50 and 100 emails on Monday. So, yeah, terrible.
I mean, things like Slack I've found are good for like day-to-day changes and, you know, things like that. But if it's actual stuff that needs actioning properly, then it has to be email. And so one of the first things that one of the first tricks I learned from more senior colleagues was, you know, if ever I've got any of the students and I need to have a word with them about something or the other, I would follow that up with an email. You know, I would actually, you know, I'll sit and talk to them, explain to them what the issues are, what the concerns are, and stuff like this. And then I'd write an email saying, I'm just summarizing what we talked about. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that there was some kind of written formal record, you know, which can then be referred to at a later point if necessary.
Eric can speak to this. He's I bet you anything, Eric is the kind of guy. He's the same kind of guy I am. If you call me and we have a discussion about something that we're going to need to do or whatever, I'm going to email you about that.
Yep.
And I'm going to confirm, hey, you said this and this and this and this. We're going to do it on this day. Just wanted to circle back, follow up with that.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. 100%. That has to be the way to do it.
And if they don't email me back, I'm as per my last email, you know, like I need you to confirm
this. That's a
this.
hard learned lesson that you have to, yeah.
Yeah. You get burned.
So,
you get burned.
Yeah, no, same here. I learned that, unfortunately, the hard way as well. But yeah.
Well, I think we're getting
on that bombshell.
That bombshell.
Bombshell. The email is useful.
Like that smash button, everybody. Get a hold of us, folks. Let us know what you think. Show at linuxotc.org. We'd love to hear from you. We're on social. Well, I mean, we are on Mastodon.
Discord's the place for us, though, really. Let's be honest. Discord's when we have proper conversations.
Yeah, pretty much.
That you can search later.
I feel like Discord takes a lot of crap from people for no reason whatsoever. Because
I like Discord.
Everybody, I cannot understand for the life of me the popularity of Telegram. I get nothing but catfishers and scammers all day long. When you're middle aged,
no, that girl really does want to know you and really wants to offer you a job.
Boy, I'll tell you what, and it's all day.
This is turning into a very long outro, Bill.
I think a lot of that has to do with your settings and the way that if you're public.
That's what I was going to get to. In order to shut all that off, you have to have the premium subscription.
Really?
Yeah, in order to make yourself invisible for messaging, you've got to have the premium subscription.
Yeah, that is true.
Of course. They know how to capitalize on their ecosystem.
Yes. I mean, I looked one more time before I finally said, fuck it, I can't take no more of this, and got rid of the app yesterday. Let me try and see if there's any way I can calm this thing down. Because they also...
Wait, you got rid of your Telegram?
Yeah.
You got rid of Telegram?
Yeah.
No shit.
Fuck Telegram. I'm sorry.
Okay, I use it every day.
Everybody loves it. But it's nothing but and it just reminds me of the old MSN chat rooms. Honestly, it's just a non-ending stream of whatever, Whereas Discord, you could have one server and then divide it up into all the things you want to talk about. I suppose that's complicated for some people. I don't really understand why. I mean, if you don't want to do it that way, you can just have a public room where people are talking much the same way as they would on Telegram.
You only really need more rooms when those specific chats get kind of busy and you want to separate out the conversations.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
If it's not busy, one is fine.
Are you going to finish this outro, or are we going to have another couple of minutes of
Bye.
ranting about Telegram?
Yeah, well, I get to thinking about Telegram, and it just irritates the hell out of me. I probably
Really? I hadn't noticed that.
30% of my battery during the day is Telegram going off for no reason, and they always come at you. I think it's funny because they always
he's going on.
No, fuck it. They come at you with this. They act like they know you, or they act like they found your number in their contacts list or whatever.
Maybe you're just such a hot guy that always,
no, I like to play along. Like, yeah, I do remember you. Like, how you doing? Did your sister ever get over
you
that
should
accident?
be posting these. You should have posted. You should do this just for content, man.
I should bring other people in on it.
No, just yeah. Well, like put it in Linux OTC Discord so that I can laugh along with you as you're yanking these guys' chains.
Oh,
yeah, it's like a mate of mine who, whenever like you get a car insurance company or whatever ring and say, we want to talk about your accident, you kind of go, yeah, but I didn't intend to kill him.
Yeah.
I swear I only had 2 drinks. All right, kids.
Exactly.
I'll go ahead and stop. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Until then, I'm Bill.
I'm Eric.
I'm Majid.